be absolutely wonderful.
Is this on here? Yeah, there you go. You got to love that. It'd be absolutely wonderful. It's kind of like, ever since I took this job, I've been asking people, have you ever had a professor identify themselves as a Christian? I never did in my 4 years. And most people look at me like I'm from Mars when I ask the question. But there are a few that would say, yeah. And this is what will follow. It'll say, it was my junior year. It was in Smith Hall. It was in Econ 302. You know how you'll never forget where you were when you saw the 9/11 videos? Or I never forget where I was when Reagan was shot. I found out Reagan was shot, I even remember watching Kennedy's funeral. I missed Lincoln's, assassination. That's how they remember it. I'm talking 25 years later, they say it was in such and such a place, I can't believe it, So I just encourage you to do that at the start of every class. Go ahead and make someone a 25-year memory. Just go ahead, have fun, just figure, this kid will never forget this, And there's even been some talk about, some professors coming together and maybe even say, how cool would it be for 2 weeks in August if we had maybe 100,000 students heard from freshmen. Freshmen heard that or even all students heard that their professor was a Christian. What about 250,000? It's just such a unique opportunity to make someone's day. So if Meet the Prof helps you, great. You can use something like Meet the Prof. But another thing that we've done at the beginning of a school year that's really been effective, my friend Dr. Don Taylor at Duke would do this. He would come to our first weekly meeting in Campus Crusade. And he's a busy man. He wouldn't even stay for the whole meeting. He'd just come for 5 minutes. Or 30 minutes or so. And he'd speak for 5 minutes, and this is what he'd say. He'd tell about his freshman year. So when I went to school, my freshman year, I was kind of into drugs and alcohol, had a rough time. He said, my friends never gave up on me. So the first thing I'm telling you is don't give up on your friends so soon. The second thing I want to tell you is that the university is a time when you consider big ideas. And I can't think of an idea any bigger than maybe there's a God. And maybe he wants to get to know you. And so I want you to take 4 years to think on that, and this is a great place to do it. And you leave. Okay, every freshman they have not even been on campus 6 days, and the first thing they hear is someone who takes 5 minutes to say that. Oh, he'd always say one other thing too. He said, if any of you want to go to church, I go to a great church. And in fact, this year I had to laugh. This year I get an email from a kid. He said, can you give me a ride to the church? I go to the same church with Don. And I was teaching Sunday school, so I couldn't. So I forwarded it to Don. I said, Don, do you know anybody who can give this kid a ride? And so I get copied on the email back. He said, I'll meet you at the traffic circle at 8:45. He's not even been on campus 4 days, and he gets picked up by a professor. Go to church, And the only reason I tell those two stories is that if you have a heart for the university, it's a heart for its ideas, but it's a heart for its people. And you can't divorce the two. In fact, I just want to hit just a couple scriptures quickly that, you'll know these. Someone said, Jesus, what's the greatest commandment? And he said, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, you can't love God and not care about people. Or another one, Jesus said, follow me and I will make you fishers of men, fishers of people. Now, I'm a little bit of an introvert, and I know many of you are more of an introvert, than I am. And so people sometimes are difficult. In fact, someone once told me about the ministry. He said, Rick, the ministry would be easy except for the people, And some of you saying, academics would be easy except for the people, But here's the problem, is that those people are really important. And my favorite passage on this is Luke 15. You know it well, but I just want to review it quickly. You know it as a parable of the lost son. But there's really 3 lost things in Luke 15. There's a lost sheep, and then there's a lost coin, and then there's the lost son. And they have common threads. I won't hit all of them. All of them, something is lost. And in all of them, it is very valuable. So you have the guy with 100 sheep. He loses one, and off he goes to look for it. the guy with the coin or woman with the coin sweeps the floor everywhere looking for the coin. And of course, the son is so valuable. So you have 3 lost things. They're all valuable, and when they're found, there's a party. Each one, there's a party. Of course, the last one, they kill the fatted calf. And so, but at the start of these parables, they're introduced like this. I'm going to paraphrase. Jesus, why do you hang with sinners? Answer, because they're valuable and because they're lost. Jesus would love hanging out in your department with all your grad students, with all your students, with all your administrators, with your deans. He would have such a great time because they're valuable and because they're lost. And so the mission to the university is its ideas, yes, and it's to its people. And every time you go into one of those committee meetings you don't want to go into, or anytime you're around students that maybe you're in a class that you don't want to have, or problematic departmental meetings, or whatever, how do you think God gets in those places? That would be you. And every relationship you have is there. God's put that person in your life to love for, care for, and perhaps point to Christ. And I'll tell one quick story about a few years ago. I got a letter, snail mail actually, handwritten. You don't get many handwritten snail mail letters these days. And so I opened it up, and it was from a student who was in my crusade ministry at Rice. And it started like this. He said, "Dear Rick, today's my 10th birthday." And he said, 10 years ago, I sat in a campus crusade meeting. Dr. Frank Jones spoke on the confessions of a mathematician. And I've never heard a professor ever talk about his faith. And at the end of the meeting, everyone went home, and I stayed in the room. And it was dark, and I thought about it. 10 years ago today, I came to Christ. Is something as simple as identifying yourself as a Christian, caring, showing up in a meeting. You can not only make a memory for someone for 25 years, you can change their life forever, So my encouragement is, I know people are hard, but view them as gifts from God, all of them. And when they're hard, you're hard sometimes too, Just love on them and see God use you. So I want you to meet somebody who's really special. It's Andrzej Zabawatny, and he is the faculty director, come up, Andrzej, in Poland. And I'd say faculty commons, but I don't know if you go by faculty commons there, but he directs the faculty ministry in Poland. They have a remarkable ministry, and as we're looking for folks I wanted you to hear from, he is surely one of them. And so, Andrzej, tell us I'm going to ask you one question, and then we'll get out of here and let you do your thing. So tell us about the beginning.
Mm-hmm.